Well, here we are. This is an Icelandic story called Gilitrutt. And I know that sounds like an odd name for a story. It turns out to be an odd name for a character. Bear with me, we're getting there. Now, can you picture a thriving farm on Iceland? Can you picture the longhouse with the barn at one end where the animals live, and over the winter, that is how it is the animals' heat that heats the longhouse. Can you picture this? People are working hard. At the end of the summer, they're out there with their scythes and they gather in the hay and they tend the animals and they fish and they dry the fish and they salt the fish to get them through the long Icelandic winter. And the husband and the wife were somewhat rich in years, and they had a son who didn't much like working on the farm. He didn't like ploughing, he didn't like tending the animals, he didn't like working with a scythe, he didn't like having to gut the fish. And there came a time when the man met a lady who was like himself, preferred to go out riding than to work on the farm, but the two of them married. And of course, because the wheel is always turning, there came a time when the parents made that last journey to the undiscovered country from which no traveller returns, and the son and his wife inherited the farm. But gradually, the people who worked on the farm with them drifted away, and because neither the son nor his wife did enough work, perhaps there were holes in the roof, perhaps the roof leaked. There was a long, hard winter, and there just wasn't enough hay to feed the animals through the winter. There just wasn't enough food. And the man and his wife were dependent on help from their friends and neighbours. And there came a day when the wife, more in desperation than in hope, was scouring the longhouse for anything to eat, and she found a fleece. So here, I have fleece. I have fleece here. This is I did the spinning for this. Anyway, she found some fleece. And as she sat there carding it, wondering if she could remember how to spin, she heard a knock at the door. And because on Iceland, it is the done thing to welcome a traveller into your home. She had to go to the door, and she had to invite in the tall, ugly woman who stood there. The woman seemed a little strange, but the wife invited her in and gave her what they had. And the old and ugly woman said, "Would you like me to spin that fleece for you?" And of course the wife, who didn't really know how to spin, said yes, but what would you ask for in payment? And the old woman said, "My name. If you cannot give me my name, I will take whatever is under your apron." And the young wife was a bit confused by this. What could she mean by her name? And she rummaged in the pocket of her dress, and all that was in there was a piece of old string. Pieces of old string get everywhere, don't they? They're always in places that you never remember leaving a piece of string. What is under my apron? The old woman picked up the fleece and simply left, closing the door behind her. And the wife didn't really understand. But sometime later, As the wife was trying to have a go at spinning, which was an essential skill for women, her husband came home and asked her why she was crying. For by this time the wife had realised what it was that was under her apron, that the troll woman, the troll wife, for of course such she was, really wanted. And she had to come clean with her husband about the whole story, about the fleece and the spinning and what was under her apron. And that when the troll wife delivered the spun yarn, if the young wife couldn't give her her name, she would, in the fullness of time, have to give them a young life that was quickening within her. A few days later, when the husband was out, he heard strange singing coming from a cave. No more, perhaps, than a crack in the ground, but he could look down and see the crack in the ground, the cave, and there, on the walls of the cave, were various tools which he thought he recognised from his parents' farm. And there, sitting at a spinning wheel and singing to herself, was the ugly troll wife. And she was singing a song, saying, "The housewife doesn't know my name. I can take her son in fair exchange. My name is Gilitrutt, but she doesn't know. My name is Gilitrutt, but she doesn't know." So the husband went back to the farm, went home to his wife, and told him what it was that he had learned, that he had seen the troll wife working at her spinning wheel, and he had learned her name. So, of course, when the troll wife came and delivered the freshly spun skeins of yarn to the young wife, of course, at first, she pretended not to know. "Is your name Helga?" "But of course," she said, "your name is Gilitrutt." And with that, the troll wife scowled and stormed out of the house, and stormed out of our story. And I think, because it's the kind of thing men do, I think that the husband went to the cave and retrieved all the tools. Because I think any red-blooded man would go and reclaim his tools. What do you think? So the troll wife was never seen again. The young wife got the beautifully spun yarn, and the husband and the wife and their firstborn tended their farm and made it prosper. And they lived. This is your line. Come on, you do this bit. You do this bit. They lived happily ever after, because it's a story. And I think Icelandic stories can end happily ever after too. Usually if you've defeated a troll. Anyway, this is fleece. This is of course black. Sheep are not necessarily white. So this is Hebridean fleece, which is quite tough. The Vikings would have used a fleece, and probably not exactly like that, because it's a long time ago, isn't it? You know, sheep kind of change, but they have horns. Hebridean. A lot of the old breeds, a lot of the rare breeds have horns. So obviously the basic framework of that story of doing a deal, it involves your firstborn with with a not very nice otherworld character that turns up time and time again. But of course, because this is an Icelandic story, it has to be a troll. It has to be a troll wife. So there are other stories from Iceland on the Facebook group. There are links to other stories. So please do subscribe to my channel and do listen to some other stories. There's other stories about spinning and weaving as well. There you are. So I hope to see you again soon. Take care and watch out for trolls.